Whether or Not on WHAS 11 Plus is sponsored by Big O Tires.
Hi there and welcome to yet another episode of Weather or Not. It's our weekly weather streaming show right here on WHAS 11 Plus. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mallory Schnell, joined alongside meteorologists Matt Willoughby, John Gordon, and Austin Evans. The whole crew is back again this week.
Yeah.
Back from Mardi Gras.
Back from a great Mardi Gras, so it was a good time.
Good,
A lot of memorable moments.
Yeah. I'm sure. Hopefully the weather was good for you there.
Oh,
we know you
83
ran into
degrees,
some headaches on the way down, but
yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah.
But I'm here.
You're here.
I'm
You're
back.
here. And our one big thing this week, obviously the blizzard that impacted the Northeast over the weekend. A very, very impressive storm. And we're going to break down some of the snow totals, some of the wind reports from that storm. But first, we do have a report from Michael Yoshida. Let's take a look.
Wild winter weather slamming the Northeast.
We're sort of a foot and a half under snow. It's a wicked nor'easter.
A massive bomb cyclone putting more than 40 million people under blizzard warnings and grinding travel to a halt.
We need residents to really stay home and heed that warning.
At least 7 states have received a foot of snow or more, and at least 4 states have been buried under at least 2 feet.
This is the worst storm in over a decade for us.
The heavy snow and hurricane-force wind gusts creating whiteout conditions, downing trees and power lines, leaving thousands in the dark.
We had about 5,000, over 5,000 public workers, public utility workers across the state deployed. They're really getting people back up and online as quickly as possible.
New York receiving the most snow from a single storm in over 5 years.
Since last night, New York City has been in near blizzard conditions. Conditions have begun to moderate, but there is still more to come.
As the storm tracks north, blizzard conditions wreaking havoc on much of New England. In Boston, heavy, wet snow, wind gusts over 40 miles per hour, and a quarter-mile visibility making navigation treacherous.
Don't go out if you don't need to.
As some enjoy winter wonderland,
we look forward to it and the town just shuts down completely.
Others face a nightmare.
We're just in the airport. We don't know what we're going to do.
More than 10,000 flights have been canceled from Sunday to Tuesday, according to FlightAware, stranding travelers across the region. In Boston, Michael Yoshida, WHAS 11 on your side.
And this was an impressive storm. I was watching it unfold from sunny South Florida, which was kind of nice.
We were keeping an eye on it all night, Sunday night, throughout the day, Monday, and then I believe school buses were operating, I think, as early as yesterday, maybe even earlier.
Wow. Yeah, I think Tuesday, New York City schools were back.
Yeah, they were back in session.
Now, how many kids were actually there? Who knows?
Wouldn't be us.
Yeah.
We buried.
Yeah.
We would be stuck.
Yeah, and I know there's a lot of information on this graphic from the National Weather Service, but it does show selected snow reports and wind gust reports from the Northeast. And the highest snow report, almost 38 inches of snow in Rhode Island. There were hurricane-force winds on top of that in Rhode Island, New York, Massachusetts. I mean, you're seeing 70, 80 mile per hour wind gust.
The storm had an eye on it at some point.
Yeah.
In
it looked
satellite.
insane.
So let's go back to the basics here. First off, the Euro computer model won. It won. It was closer to the coast. It showed this before the American model. Not good. And when you get a nor'easter is about wind first, then the snow, the beach erosion, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the Euro nailed this thing. Rhode Island busted their all-time snowfall record by several inches.
Just insane.
Wow, that's crazy.
I mean, my brother lives in New York City, and so I told him to send me photos throughout the event. And he sent me one, he was like, just did the first pass of the shovel. That was, I guess, Sunday night. And then when they woke up again on Monday, just the dumping of snow really continued. And we talk about blizzard a lot, and I think that's a term that, people tend to throw around.
It gets tossed around. It's not very respected.
Right, there's heavy snow, but blizzard, we need the wind.
You need the wind. There's two big misnomers in weather involving winter. The first one is, I do not like the definition of White Christmas. White Christmas, I'm going to fight this. If it snows on Christmas,
always goes back to that.
It's snowing. It's a White Christmas.
It's a White Christmas.
But the Weather Service says, no, it's not, unless you get an inch.
Right.
Not
We've got
the
to talk.
second thing is the blizzard. Everyone thinks we have a blizzard all the time, don't they?
Right.
But you don't have a blizzard unless you have
35-mile-per-hour wind gusts, visibility less than a quarter of a mile for 3 hours.
So it's not even something that can be, hey, we are having a blizzard right now. No, it's we had a blizzard yesterday.
So if you have 14 hours of a half a mile visibility, did you have a blizzard?
Nope.
No.
I mean,
Now I don't agree with that
Right.
definition, but that is the definition of the test.
Wow.
That's why like putting hard and fast definitions on the weather is a little difficult.
Yeah, it's like 78. I didn't really go back and look at, maybe you did, I'm still
Right.
but in 78, a lot of people think we had a blizzard. I looked at the visibilities. I don't remember seeing 3 hours of a quarter or less. Maybe there was, and I'm old and senile. But, I mean, certainly this thing was bad in New York City. When you're
Right.
getting 2 to 3 inch snowfall rates per hour, that's not good.
yeah, not good. Winter Wonderland up there. I do believe we actually might have some VO or some video of how things looked. This is Central Park. Isn't it beautiful,
It's
though?
really
beautiful.
pretty.
Those are more than festive flakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say in a walkable city where you have public transportation, snow is a little bit more,
It's complicated.
it's complicated, but it's somewhat welcomed maybe. I don't know. I
That's
can't speak
beautiful.
for the people of New York City, but
Yeah.
The New Yorkers,
about it.
New Yorkers are a different breed. They just kind of move on. They just kind of keep going. So this was annoying for 2 days for them.
right.
Right, but during the heart of this, there was nothing at LaGuardia Airport. Nothing. Nothing at Logan Airport. Nothing in Providence. Nothing. I mean, you're talking winds that were sustained. I think New York City never went below 37 miles an hour for 10 hours.
That's so cold.
That's crazy.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, wind.
Yeah.
Wind. Yep.
Not a good thing.
And a lot of power outages too. So
Oh, yeah.
we could talk about this all day, but we have a loaded show. So we're going to move on to our next topic, from blizzards to tornadoes. Of course, here last week, we were monitoring the potential for severe weather. John, Austin, we were here monitoring that threat for you that night. And we kept saying time and time again, we got lucky. We really lucked out with that
We did.
setup. It could have been so much worse.
3 of us went on the air at the 4 o'clock set, and we had a tornado watch down here in Louisville. I'm like, this needs to go. It needs
Right.
to move north,
North.
and our farthermost northern counties. And where did those tornadoes happen?
Yeah, north, that warm front. That is where these storms kind of just latched onto and spun up. So if you were watching our coverage that evening during the 6 o'clock newscast, we were mentioning a storm that was headed toward Bloomington. And we told folks, because, we know a lot of people have kids who are going to school at IU. School is in session. It's not spring break or anything, so they were on campus. Hey, give your kids a call. Make sure they have that safe
During
place.
the break, I think when Ken Spencer was getting ready to do the sports, they were over here at the desk, and I yelled over, tell everyone IU's about to be hit. And they're like, what? I said, a tornado is heading to IU. I'm dead serious.
And, I mean, it did hit Monroe County, where Bloomington is located, but by, a miracle,
Magical
it
Indiana
lifted
guy.
before it hit
Yeah.
the campus.
So that image on the left, you see the upper left, you have that reflectivity, so that's measure the power of the storm, okay? But the little in the middle, they see that big little hole where you go hide and seek? That's not a good thing. That's the bear's cage.
Right.
And there was some big hail in there. I saw up to 2-inch hail reports in there. And that storm goes through cycles, cyclical. They kind of go up and down, and fortunately, it lifted before it got to IU.
Just barely before. The storm had a pretty long history of putting tornadoes on the ground. And when it was entering Bloomington, and I had never really seen this out of an NWS office, I thought that was brilliant. They treated it as if it was on the ground. There weren't any reports that it was on the ground in the moment. People were sheltering as they should have been. But they treated it as if it was, because of its history and because of how strong it was. Again, I had never seen that before. I thought it was a brilliant thing that they did out of Indianapolis.
Well, heading potentially straight for a college campus,
exactly.
too.
Yeah.
It was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
The miracle of that event is we didn't have enough instability. If there was more instability, it would have hit Bloomington.
If it had been warmer,
Yeah.
Could have
More
been
moisture,
April.
more temperature.
Or if
April,
it had
May,
been slid
yeah.
down to March. or
Mallory and I
April,
were
yeah.
talking during the show that March 2nd, 2012, Henryville, we all remember that day. It was a very similar setup. It just didn't have enough temperature or moisture.
Right, and here's some of the facts of that tornado. Monroe County, Indiana ended up being an EF2 after the storm survey, 120-mile-per-hour wind gust. It was on the ground for about 9 minutes there and for 3.7 miles as well. I also believe we do have some footage of tornado damage from that area. You can see here trees down, some roof damage. You know, we got some reports in that night, but it usually takes the next morning, the daylight hours, to really see the extent of damage and for the National Weather Service to be able to go up there and survey the damage as well.
Yeah, the news people go nuts. They don't have reports because it's dark.
Right.
They're gathering things.
Can't see anything.
We said there will be reports first thing in the morning, and voila, the bank. Everyone was at that bank.
Once the sun came up, it became very apparent what had happened.
So
it's scary at night.
It's always scary at night, thinking of those impacted. But as we mentioned here at home, we lucked out. Always, I will never hate a day where we miss severe weather. So.
It might be a little stressful. It might still be a long day, but if we don't have to talk about tornadoes touching down in our area,
That's a good thing.
It ends up being a good day.
And our great chief delayed her trip to Florida to
stop.
protect you all out there.
It could have just been me and John.
That's a fact. She will never say this, but that's true.
Well, I was happy to do it. I still got to enjoy some days on the beach. So it all worked out. But we're going to stay on the topic of tornadoes. And this week in weather history, it's going to take us back to 2018. I know, John, you have some memories of this. Austin, you do as well. I was in Georgia working at the time, so I don't remember this event. But we had widespread flash flooding and several tornadoes that occurred across central Kentucky, southern Indiana, the tornadoes in Kentucky, the flash flooding elsewhere. This was from the afternoon hours on February 24th through the early morning hours February 25th. And 7 tornadoes, you can see this on your screen, were confirmed across central Kentucky. The one tornado in our WHAS 11 viewing area, different from the National Weather Service coverage area. But for us, it was an EF2 near Greensburg in Greene County. Now, we didn't have any injuries or deaths with that tornado, but unfortunately that was not the case with all the storms.
Yeah, we got too warm, and there was a boundary. So a boundary separating air mass, and in the air mass there was a colder air to the north, warm air to the south, and these storms fired along this boundary. And the question was where exactly the boundary would set up, and then it escalated rapidly out of Nashville's area and Paducah's area. Storms, like Mallory said, my old county's Logan. That's not our county. We lost a 77-year-old lady, which I'll never forget. And then they continued to ride north as that boundary lifted up and north. You had Greene, Butler, Hart counties, a bunch of the counties to the south of Louisville.
Right.
This was oddly enough, we're talking about a storm that I wrote a paper on in college.
Wow.
The upward vertical motion, we call it omega, you can call it a whole bunch of stuff, but it was in essentially the shape of a squall line. When I was going back and looking at it and analyzing that past data, and it pretty much, that piece of data lined up perfectly with how the line moved through the area. WKU's meteorology department was we were kind of on a field trip. We had gone down to Nashville. We went to a news station in Nashville, went to NWS Nashville, kind of during the event, and kind of got to see what a severe weather day was like in the moment. Even though we weren't working it, obviously we were still keeping an eye on it. We were driving back pretty much as it was happening. So a real odd day for WKU meteorology.
And those pictures, those last couple pictures you just saw, what do you typically think of in February? Flooding.
So, yeah, this was a 1-2 punch. Yeah. So basically, here in Louisville, we didn't have tornadoes, but we had flash flooding. And widespread flash flooding occurred Saturday night. Repeated rounds of thunderstorms tracked over the region, creeks, streams, urban areas. Significant water rises. Yeah, and there were 50 water rescues in Jefferson County alone that evening. Flash flood emergency was issued as well. And this seemed like it was not only this event, but as I was looking at the National Weather Service page for it, as we typically see, February, March, we had days of rain too. So it was like we had flash flooding, but then we also had river flooding. as well. So it was just, we had rainfall totals between 4 and 9 inches over the course of 5 days. And the Ohio River actually had its highest crest since 1997. So I can pull that up here. These are our historic crests. Obviously 37 is at the top. Last year was number 8. When we canceled Thunder over Louisville in 2025, and then you can see 11th, February 26, 2018.
There are 2 on there in the 2000s, last year and 2018.
That's right. So, okay, with the Weather Service, I'll just tell you this. With the Weather Service, when we work severe weather, we work severe weather. But then you have flash flooding, so you got to take another person to deal with the flash flooding. And then, the river flooding is completely different. That's another person. And then when you're short-staffed and you have all this, that's why I have gray hair. I'm telling you, it's not easy.
It's like a 1-2 punch with, severe weather and flooding at the same time.
Oh, we need a briefing in Frankfurt. Oh, the governor wants to talk. Oh, the mayor wants to talk. Oh, we need a river person. I'm busy. Where are all these people that are going to do this?
Yeah.
Yeah. So tornadoes, flash flooding, river flooding, and that's a good segue because this week is actually Flood Safety Week for the National Weather Service. And as we know, flooding is something that we deal with a lot, not only here at home, but across the U.S. It just seems like, I know, John, you always talk about flooding.
We've talked about it getting worse on this show, and it continues to do so.
And it's something that we tend to deal with in some capacity every year here in Louisville.
Every time we have big events, we're screaming, turn around.
Turn around, don't drown, guys.
Yeah. And I was asking you that before this show. I was like, man, is it really every year around here? But it certainly seems like it's been recently every year they've seen at least one flooding.
I'm getting my brain back. I'm remembering how it works going into spring, my first spring back home in 6 years. So I'm getting that back into my head, my forecasting and everything.
But for some flood safety tips, obviously, don't try to drive through flooded roadways. It sounds obvious, but we have to say it because people continue to do it.
I got in trouble at a previous station I worked at for saying on air that driving through flooded waters is a dumb idea.
Well, it's true.
Well,
and I needed to say it in the way that I talk. I didn't need to use buzzwords or anything. I needed the people to hear it from me. And I got in trouble for it.
And the state of Indiana actually has a law now, they passed, that says if you drive around a barricade because of a flooded road, and you go around and they have to come rescue you, they charge you for the cost of that, and you can be charged with a felony.
They did this, I don't know if it was a felony, but when I lived in southern Arizona during monsoon, it was like a dumb driver's law or something, where it's like if you drive through the wash, which is a flooded roadway,
flooded area,
basically, and you have to get rescued, you get fined.
That's crazy.
Like,
I mean, you just never know
putting
how
people's lives in danger.
I mean, why is the barricade there?
Yeah,
the barricade's there for a reason.
Not to run over it. I can tell you that.
It don't matter how big your truck is. I promise.
Yeah, you just never know how deep that water is. Like it's murky, dirty water. You never know how deep it is.
You don't know if the road's intact underneath.
Yeah.
Moving quickly, laterally.
1 to 2 feet of water can drift away your car. 6 inches of moving water can knock you off your feet. So this is just our reminder to stay safe. We get flash flooding around here. Those are good tips. And we get river flooding as well. There are many different ways that you can monitor river levels. We look at hydrographs here. You can do that as well by going to weather.gov/Louisville, click on rivers and lakes, zoom in, and you can click on the different hydrographs.
Check and see if you're in a floodplain, by the way.
That's
good homework for you.
Flood insurance, that's important. But we have a lot more to get to. We are going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Stay with us.
Big O Tires has more than 460 locations nationwide. We feel everyone in our community deserves legendary care. Big O is the team you trust.
At Big O, that now is no problem at all.
Right now, get $80 to $120 instant savings on 4 select in-stock tires with installation purchase, plus 0 interest if paid in full within 12 or 6 months.
Big O Tires, the team you trust.
All right, weather back. Welcome back to Whether or Not. Happy Thursday, everybody. So now we're going to go to our weather video of the week, and this takes us down to Hawaii. I'm going to be honest, I wasn't even paying attention to Hawaii's weather, but they were dealing with some really bad flooding down there over the weekend. So we can take a look at some of that video. It does look like they had a shortwave trough combined with the lift that they get from the mountains there. Lots of low-level moisture, and basically there was a nearly stationary band of heavy rain and thunderstorms over the mountains.
I wouldn't be on that bridge.
Saturday, February 21st. They had rainfall rates of 2 to 4 inches per hour, brief periods over 6 inches per hour, rapid rises in streams, stormwater channels, drains. You're seeing all of the flooding there. So on Oahu, you know, there's the windward side of the island there. I saw a report of up to 25 inches of rainfall. Like, what I was looking at was, I was like, is this correct?
Yeah, that's insane.
And I checked with some of the news stations down there. Yeah, obviously there were road closures, the streams overwhelmed and entered homes and vehicles, but I mean, just a sight.
That's terrifying.
I'm unfortunately unfamiliar with like the nitty gritty of the geography and the hydrology of Hawaii. I take it that it probably doesn't drain very well.
I mean, you're surrounded by water.
Yeah.
And so you have flooding on the island. That gets a little scary.
Problem is the topography. You've got tremendous mountains. You get too much rain. There's too much water. Water can't absorb it. It comes down the slopes. And look what you saw. And I wouldn't be on that bridge.
No.
No. So this was the windward side of Oahu, which I believe is also kind of like the North Shore area. So there's a reason why there are more resorts on certain sides of the island. Yeah, the islands down there, Maui, Oahu,
people
the
that
drier
make more
sides.
than us and pay more close attention have found those spots.
Yes. So I mean, just there's a reason this is our viral weather video.
Yeah, I mean that's wild.
Count the number of whether or not video. We do this every week. Count how many times we talk about flooding.
I think it's at least once
a reoccurring
week.
theme, right?
And this might be 2 weeks in a row talking about Hawaii.
Yeah.
Very different topics.
I think our first and second episode, we kept talking about flooding.
We did.
And it's still happening.
Yeah.
Even in winter.
So we're going to switch gears now. We're going to go back to winter, talk about a little bit of snow.
Let's get cold.
With our weather trivia of the week with meteorologist Matt Breland.
Hey, thanks for keeping it here on Whether or Not. I'm meteorologist Matt Breland here with your weather trivia for this week's episode. So a lot of snow in the forecast. We've been talking about snow showers and, nor'easters. So I figured I would talk about the different types of snowflakes. Yes, I know a lot of people usually think that there's just one typical snowflake that you usually see, just a stereotypical, six-sided one. But actually, depending on temperatures, will determine what type of snowflake you see. So whenever the air is 25 to 32 degrees, you can expect those very thin plates of snow. As we get colder in the atmosphere, 21 to 25, little needles can appear in the snowflakes. And as we head a bit colder in the atmosphere, 14 to 21 degrees, hollow columns start forming. Going a bit colder, 10 to 14 degrees, that's where you'll start seeing the actual flakes. And then anything that is in between 3 to 10 degrees will lead to those typical, very flaky appearance. But here's the catch. As you keep getting colder, it starts working a bit backwards. You're back at stellar plates whenever temperatures are -8 to 3 degrees. And then you're back at the columns, anything below -8. That's where it stops at. So not all snowflakes are alike depending on the temperature. That's your weather trivia for this week. Guys, back over to you.
All right. Thank you, Matt.
I want to see snow needles. I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
That would be really
Sounds terrifying.
We were just talking about Snowflake Bentley again in the break.
Yeah.
So
I'm telling
always
you,
comes back to Snowflake Bentley.
If you have a young person or you're into photography, please look up Snowflake Bentley.
Yeah.
He opened the door for all of what
Yeah.
you just heard from Matt. It
Yeah.
all started with this guy.
Yeah, very impressive there. You learn something new every week with weather trivia. And now we're going to highlight some viewer photos of the week with Austin.
Yeah, we got 3 more great photos of the week from our Facebook group, Kentucky, Indiana Cloud Watchers. The first one sent in from Holly Owens, taken in Salem, Indiana. What in the world is going on here, John? It's a wild picture. It's one of the most popular pictures on the group right now. I'm thinking gravity waves, maybe some sort of like up and down motion to make this, because those aren't contrails. That's not anything that I've seen.
It's not a hole punch cloud.
It's not a hole punch, no.
I really think that's some form of a gravity wave. I wish I knew the date and the time in a video. If you have things like this, man, send a little video. I can just see it moving.
I'll get you that date and time.
I don't know. Salem, this is great.
That's
Holly,
really, really good.
Holly, tell us any more you have. Send a note to Austin.
Yeah, send it to me. All right, the next one, this is a 30-second exposure sent in by Joshua Buckmaster. Amazing last night.
Wow.
Of the sunset in Indiana. It's shining off the train tracks, and I've seen this concept a bunch of times, and I'm really glad that Joshua was able to get that
into a photo contest.
You probably will.
Joshua.
You probably will.
Pretty colors.
And spring is coming. It's coming. There's a bud on the tree.
Oh boy.
Those buddies.
Spring is on the way. Everyone up your Zyrtec prescriptions.
Yeah, I need to do that, actually.
And get ready for the pollinate, because it's about to happen. Please send us your photos. The Facebook group, Kentucky, Indiana Cloud Watchers, letting people in there every day, letting people comment, letting people do all kinds of fun things with those photos. Just send them there. You can send them there to that email or that phone number as well. We love to see them.
All right. And before we wrap up this episode, Matthew, you have a little bit more about what we can see in the night sky this weekend.
Yes.
And it's going to be clear tonight, tomorrow night.
It's going to be possible. Yeah, I love astronomy. So, there's going to be something what we call a parade of planets. So, with this, sometimes not all of them are visible, but I did do some research. Possibly 3 to 4 planets will be visible. So, more on the western end of this. If you're looking towards the west, Saturn, Neptune, Mercury, Venus could be very visible. I think Jupiter possibly had the best chance as well of seeing that. So that'll be closer to the eastern sky and kind of southeastern sky. So that'll be this weekend. Best chance will be this Saturday, 30 minutes after sunset, around 7 p.m.
If any of you folks, you talented folks that live out where light pollution isn't a problem and happen to have a telescope, take pictures and send them to us. We'd love to see it. Or at least I would.
Yeah, I want to say 3 of them will be possible with the visible naked eye, but telescope, I think you should be able to see all 6. So
Very, very cool. Well, that could be our next photo of the week.
Our world is so small when you consider space.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, space makes you feel small, and it should make you feel small.
One last thing, the end of next week, you're going to see some severe weather out in the plains. There's a pattern shift.
That's what I was
seeing. That's just the beginning. You usually see this in mid-March. So the end of next week, watch the Great Plains.
Yeah, things start to warm up.
We'll
things
see
become
what happens.
turbulent.
Yeah.
March is typically
No, I'd say it's marching
month
on.
like this for us.
Up and down, up and down.
We'll have a lot to track for you. Always stay tuned to WHAS 11. We'll have the latest forecast for you. But we're going to wrap up this episode of Whether or Not. We want to thank you for joining us this week, and we will see you back here next time.
Bye.